Fearless Girls, it's your Fearless Girls leader, Dr. T. How are you? Why don't you tag somebody? Okay, 1 second. Hey, Fearless Girls, it's your Fearless Girls leader, it's Dr. T. How about you tag somebody, tell somebody, share it on your timeline, and let everybody know they need to tune in. Come on now, tune in. As they say, come on in the room. It's good to have you on. It's Friday, and it's a Fearless Friday indeed. So how about you take a moment, like, follow, subscribe, do all of that good stuff that we do. I want you to make sure that you are keeping up with all things Fearless Girls. That's great. And tag some girls, tag your friends, tag your mama Nims, tag everybody. It's May, it's Mother's Month. So tag all of the ladies that you love so dearly and make sure they tune in. Your girl is rocking Charcoal Chick Trap Gloss tonight. Shout out to Trap Gloss. And while you're liking and following and subscribing to everything Fearless Girls, take a moment and run on over to trapgloss.com. See what we have cooking over there. In fact, the Trap Gloss TikTok shop should be open within the next week. And that is going to be fun. But I'm excited to have you all on wherever you're catching us at. If you are on the book, if you are on YouTube, Holy Connections TV, wherever you catch us at. Thanks so much for tuning in for our nugget. And it will be a nugget indeed. So I'm looking forward to so many things that we have going on. We've got some great things going on. But let's jump into our nugget. Tonight's Fearless Fridays nugget is expand your environment. Now, I think last week we talked about disrupting some things. We talked about disruption and talked about how we're going to shatter some things. And one of the things that I shared with you is that you are a disruptor. You are a disruptor. So don't be thrown off by that, because disruptors have more things that they have to fight through. But I want to encourage you to go to She Rises, because if you go to She Rises, I need you to be at the She Rises conference July 23rd through the 28th in Chicago, because we're going to talk about that. And when I tell you, you're going to have peace about the disruptions and shattering some things in your life. Go back and watch last week. But I definitely want you to be prepared to be in Chicago so that you can be a part of the She Rises conference. But let's get right at it. Like I said, expand your environment is our nugget for tonight. Expand your environment. And I really just have some questions as it relates to this before we even jump into it. Have you ever realized that you might be growing, but you're not really being stretched? I can tell the difference when I'm like, okay, yeah, this is decent. And when it's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of taking me out of my comfort zone. And I want you to be in a position where you can answer that question for yourself. And I really believe that some of you are trying to grow in spaces that were never, ever, ever designed to stretch you. And I want you to be able to be stretched, because there's only so far you can go when, if you are unwilling to be stretched. And that's why this expanding yourself is so important, in expanding your environment. And one of the things that I think about as it relates to that is you may be the smartest one in the room. You may be the strongest one in your circle, or you may even be the most driven one in your environment. I get all of that. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, let's really be honest about this thing. Because it feels really good to be the one that is the top dog. It feels comfortable. It feels familiar. It even feels validating. But I'll tell you this, that's only for a season. It's only for a season, because eventually what once felt like growth, it starts to begin to feel like limitation. And hear that again in your spirit, though. You cannot keep evolving in an environment that is no longer challenging you. You have to make sure. Now, I'm not talking about being cavalier in your environment and you have feel like you say you've outgrown it, but you're not using the details. That's not what we're talking about. But what I will say is you need more than just motivation. You need exposure, and you need new conversations, you need new perspectives, you need new passion, you need new rooms. Why? Because your environment is going to do it's going to do one of two things. It really is. It's either going to stretch you or it's going to shrink you. Because at the end of the day, there really is no middle ground. And if you stay too long in a space that no longer stretches you, what ends up happening is you will start shrinking without even thinking about it. You may not even realize that you are shrinking yourself. And I don't want you to do that. Now, if this is resonating with you, if you're getting it, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, I need you to put a number 7 in the timeline. Put a number 7 in the timeline. And I want you to understand that you got to be able to notice these types of things. And I'll tell you this, that's why this summer when we gather in the Shy for She Rises, you gotta be in the room. Somebody put in the timeline, you gotta be in the room. I want you in the room. Well, let me even say this. So Friday is called Explore and Expand Day. You just saw that, right? Because sometimes your next level is not in your average routine or your regular routine. It is not in your everyday schedule. It is not maybe even in your usual circle. I'm telling you, it's in another place. And that place is with me in the Shy. Yep, that's right. So another experience, another exposure, another perspective. And listen and hear me clearly. If you have outgrown where you are, you can't shrink yourself back. You cannot shrink yourself back. You don't want to shrink to fit in. Somebody put that in the timeline. You don't want to shrink to fit in. You want to expand to rise. That's right. You want to expand to rise. I'm telling you, that's what you need to do. You need to expand so that you can rise. And there's a couple of things that go into that. You got to step into something bigger. You got to step into something unfamiliar. Step into something that calls and requires more out of you. And why am I saying this? Because the next version of you needs this, beloved. Yes, and I'll tell you this, the next version of you is waiting on the other side of your new environment. And I'll tell you this, I believe this with everything in me, that Chicago is calling you to your next level. That's right. I'm telling you that it's calling you to your next level, and you do not want to miss it. I don't want you to miss any of it. And that's why this She Rises conference in Chicago, July 23rd through the 28th, when I tell you you don't want to miss any of it, not any of it. And I want you to be ready for being in the room, and I want you to be ready to be stretched. I want you to be ready to be challenged. I want you to be ready to have a different level of motivation. This thing is going to help you, and Chicago is the place where you need to be. In fact, say this with me. I expand beyond every limiting environment. Yep, say it out loud. Say it so you can hear yourself say it. I expand beyond every limiting environment. And then I want you to say this. I want you to say, I step into rooms that stretch me. Yep. Say it with some boldness. Put it in the timeline while you're at it. I step into rooms that stretch me. Listen, you should be able to walk into some rooms and say, wow, it's some real power players in here that I am stretching, and I'm motivated to have some of the experiences that they're having. Yep, so say it again. I step into rooms that stretch me. I want you to be able to do it. And then say, I embrace, yeah, I'm giving you an affirmation. Say, I embrace new levels. Yep, say it. I embrace new perspectives. And I embrace new growth. Yes, I love it. Say this. Let's wrap up with this. Say, I am evolving and I rise. Come on now. You gotta be ready for what's about to happen in Chicago, July 23rd through 28th. And it's gonna expand you, and you gotta expand your environment. I want you to be ready. And I want you to tag at least 3 friends who need to rise. I want you to tag at least 3 friends who need to be in Chicago, because this is going to be a time like no other, and it is going to be a time that's going to take you to the next level. And what better place to do it than in Chicago, with the high rises and the historical high rises that we have experienced. We saw them, they started there, and what better place to do the She Rises. I want you to go. If you're already registered, put a 23 in the timeline. And if you plan on registering, put a 7 in the timeline. The 23 is for the date that we start. The 7 is for the month that we're going. I want you to be there, and I do not want you to miss it. And as I always say, girls with dreams, they become women with vision. Let's get ready to go to Chicago for She Rises, July 23rd through the 28th. And you don't want to miss it. Like I said, girls with dreams, they become women with vision. I'll see you next time. Tag some friends, tell them they need to go, and then share this on your timeline. Bye.